This conference will now be recorded.
All right. All right. So all the modules, so we are going to cover with the real-time scenarios and the best practices that we follow as per the industry standards. So in general, like Pega standards that we follow, and the explanation with the real-time examples with the daily assignments as well, I will be providing. And the frequently asked questions. So there are certain recordings that are already created. So like 10 minutes or 20 minutes videos are already available, so which I will be providing at least by after going through the mid of the course, so that you will start preparing the frequently asked interview questions. So this interview questions will be something around till 5 years of experience if you are pursuing 5 years of experience in Pega. So that level of experience covers that kind of questions in those recordings, and the recordings will be provided for those as well as the regular course as well. So on the daily basis I will be sharing those recordings. So I'll be having a drive, and I will be sharing that drive access to you, and you can go through those. And online and offline trainings are available. So here you can even approach me directly in I'm staying at Manikonda, so I do have an office here. So you can stay, you can come whenever you have any questions that you want to showcase it. So there is an offline training as well, and mock interviews are also conducted at the end. And there's a project which I will be going with while explaining the concepts, and there is another project that I will be giving it to you with the best practices. All right. So that I will explain you after the once the course modules are completed. And the agile scrum methodology training, so one day will be allocated for how the agile methodology, which is how in general after you get into the project, so what are the practices that you will do in day-to-day activities, which is for the freshers who are not aware of this scrum methodology. So it will be benefited for them. And there is a weekend available. I will be available for screen sharing sessions as well. So if they are having, if you want to showcase any kind of uh, uh, problems that you have in terms of while we are practicing it, so I will have a screen sharing session. So this is something exclusively on Saturdays. So for the regular batches it is Monday to Friday, and Saturday is exclusively for screen sharing sessions, as well as if you have any doubts. All right. And the certification support is provided, and there's a both fast track and regular batches is available. So the one which we are currently dealing is regular one. So which is will be having 60 sessions. Okay. So per day 1 hour. So which will cross around 2.5 months. All right. Now let's go to the. So what is Pega? So why we are learning Pega? So Pega is basically a software tool to develop BPM applications or CRM applications. So there is something called as a business process management. BPM stands for business process management. So we are going to manage the business via a process. So first of all, in order to understand what is Pega, so why the Pega is being used, so we need to understand these terminologies, BPM and CRM, customer relationship management. So Pega is being used for both BPM application development and CRM application development. So BPM is something like you are having, let's say there is an application called licensing application, where initially we are going to apply for a license. So while we are applying for a license, we will hand over all the necessary documents. Okay, so to the representative who is in the license officer. Okay, so there we are going to submit all the documents. So initially the documents which are submitted to one person, so then that person will hand over those documents to the subsequent next actor, who is something like a officer, who is going to give you the license. So initially you will go with certain documents. So and those documents which are given to him, he will upload them into the system. Okay, and once he enters into the system, so that record of information which is captured on behalf of you is passed to second actor, who is going to provide you the license. Okay, so then he will verify the checks, that is something like he will ask for driving test. So initially you will have a test conducted, so which is a written test, and then once you clear the written test, he will pass your record of information to the next subsequent officer, who is going to see how you are driving. Okay, so here the third actor is something like a person who is going to actually see the how the way you are driving. Okay, so there are different set of actors who are going to complete the process of giving the license. Okay, so in order to issue a license, so there are some different set of actors involved. Okay, so different set of actors playing their role and responsibilities as allocated to them. Okay, so the directly the officer, the second officer cannot give you the issue the license. So he is authorized to check only the test which you are writing. Okay, so the roles and responsibilities are given for the actor as per the role that he has. Okay, so he cannot move to other person's roles and responsibilities. So he cannot directly issue the license, so he just conducts the test for the license. Okay, so initial test which is captured in the portal. Okay, so that is something like on behalf of a customer we are having a process driving for license issuing the license. So this is something like a government application to issue a license. So this is something a process being driven. Okay, so same thing, the same licensing application may be a different process in different countries. So initially this is something like in India we may follow this process. In US maybe the licensing issue may have a different set of criteria. They may have certain other documents that they may capture it. Okay, or they may have a certain other level of approvals which may require it. Okay, so there are different set of actors engaged on a single platform to complete a business case life cycle. Okay, so this is something like a business workflow. In order to complete this business workflow, there are multiple set of actors engaged, and this is something we call it as a business process management application. Okay, so business process management application is to manage the business via a process. So there is a process, a step-by-step process that has to be complete, and then only this BPM application will come as an output. Okay, so these sort of applications, so Pega is the leader of the BPM. So Pega initially was the leader of, not initially, it now itself. So now even Pega is the leader of the BPM. So even though there are multiple BPM tools are available, Pega is easy to adapt to develop the BPM applications in a faster and a quicker way. Okay, so that is the leader. That is the reason it is the leader of the BPM from last 10 years, more than 10 years as well. Okay, and Pega is also supporting the customer relationship management. So what is meant by customer relationship management is, so basically to manage the customer relationship. So as the terminology relationship, so how do we maintain the relationship with anyone? So to have interactions. Okay, so in general you will have certain calls, you will have a chatting, you have a messaging. Okay, so if you interact more with some person, so there is something called as a relation. You are building the relationship with a customer. So in order to build a proper relationship with a customer, so there is some kind of a channels that are available. So now the channel is, see, the terminology that I'm using is channel is to interact with a customer. So in order to interact with a customer, we have a phone call, we have a chat, we have an email. Okay, so there are multiple type of channels are available. So this is something like call center application. So any kind of call center driven applications will come under CRM. Okay, so it may include the certain decisioning as well. Something like you see nowadays we are getting some phone calls if you are interested to buy certain product. Okay, so you are trying to purchase some product. So for that you may given some kind of uh, offers for that. Okay, so you will get a call from some customer or from some organization stating that you are being a premium customer, we are offering certain things for you. Okay, something like Zomato is providing certain offers. So this is something like a customer relationship management. So in order to maintain a proper relationship with the customer, so these kind of analytics were embedded along with the Pega BPM. So this customer relationship management is also coming in, so that the CRM is something like initially the start of the customer. So initially before we are interact, so the customers to interact with, so there is something like a call center people who are going to call the customers, and they will start on behalf of the customer what has to be done. Something like I want representative, and I will say I want to change the address. So this is something like I would like to change the address, but I'm not doing it directly. So I'm calling to the call center and I'm telling them that I would like to change my address. So in order to change the address, so there should be some process driven. So that is something embedded with a BPM. So now the customer relationship is being built with the help of BPM as well. Okay, so initially the call center will get the calls, and after that the BPM will start over here. Okay, so there is a customer who is going to call the call center, and call center person will take care of how to drive your business intention. Okay, so whatever your task is or whatever your ask is, okay, so that ask is fulfilled via a business process management. Okay, so let's go in deep. What all the initial, like what all the features that BPM Pega BPM is providing. So BPM is a step-by-step approach to automate the business to automate and manage the business workflows. So the Pega BPM is providing certain feature called as automation. So we are getting the automation of the BPM application. So what is this automation is? So now let's say there is an application called HR application where initially the recruiters will call the candidate and apply for a job. Okay, so they are going to consider for one some job requestation for their organization, so they are applying for a job. Okay, and once they apply for a job, the next process is to conduct an interview. So they will schedule an appointment with the interviewer panel member, and they will have the virtual interview, and then the offer is released by the main HR. Okay, so this is a simple process, so where you see different set of actors are involved. So first person is the initial recruiter who is going to take care of the calls and scheduling the appointment. The next person is the interviewer who is going to take the interview, and he will share the feedback on the portal. And then finally the main HR will contact to the person and they will provide the offer. Okay, so there is some kind of a automation that can also be embedded in the applications. Something like the resumes that are coming in. Let's assume there is a Pega PDN account, so which is something like we will use it for the certification purpose. Okay, so once you provide your email ID, what all the certifications that are done by this particular candidate, so this check can be done prior to apply for the job itself. So in order to apply for the job, I may check whether this person has done the certifications or not. So that is something we can automate it. Okay, so by verifying from some third party tool to verify the certifications are done or not. So this is something we call it as a automation. So without any manual intervention, without any user intervention, we are going to check from the system, that is whether all the necessary prerequisites are done before applying this job. So that is something we call it as a automate. Okay, so Pega has the capabilities to automate as well. Okay, so Pega has the inbuilt capability to certain automations. Okay, so that helps us to avoid certain manual interventions, so to reduce the workforce. So that means in order to reduce the work done by the recruiter, so a recruiter has to go and manually check verifying the certification whether this person has done or not. So this is something like a manual job, so that is something can be automated as well. Okay, so via the robotics as well. So Pega has the capability to embed with a robotics as well. So robotics is also one of the component which is provided by the Pega BPM, which helps us to automate certain business processes. Okay, so now the process is something like completely step-by-step process of completely doing your business. Okay, so in order to reach the target, so there is something like a process which is driven. So this is how the process for applying for a job and doing the job offer. Okay, so this way we may have a multiple sort of BPM applications driving. Okay, so every phase of business case life cycle includes this: design, model, execute, optimize, and monitor. Okay, so all these are the phases which you are going to see while we are doing a business case life cycle. So initially while we are driving the business, so you may see these phases. So design is something like what your end goal of your business is. Okay, so initially you may start with your design. What is that we are going to achieve by using this Pega BPM tool. Okay, so initially The design is something like you are saying like I want to use this Pega software to create one application to automate and have a business workflow created to recruit a candidate. So this is my design. Now model is basically how you are going at a low level in the sense how you are going to create each and every step which are there inside at a this is something like high level applying for a job and job process offer release at a high level. Now going inside in deep, we are going to define what where all the jobs will be created. Okay, so what all the jobs that are created, how we need to display to the user. Okay, and what all the locations and what all the compensations for the job that we are holding, so we are going to offer. Okay, so that is something like a models. Okay, so models are nothing but how we are going to give a data that we are using in the application, so that we are going to have a model created. Okay, and next execution. So execution is something like we are going to take the candidate and process done for the candidate. Okay, so that is something like start and end. So till you from the start till the end, what is the process? So there are multiple steps inside again each and every stage. So we can say here this is as a stage, so that inside a stage you may have multiple other steps that you may perform. Something like validating the a person. Okay, whether where exactly he is staying, the contact details, if there are any differences. So all these are some of the subsequent steps that we may include under each and every stage. So similarly, like job process, you may have one level of interviews, you may have two level, or you may have three level of interviews. Okay, so something like that. An offer release, you may have a background check, you may send out email notification for all the previous company offer letters. Okay, so that way you may have some other steps inside each and every stage. Okay, so this is something we are defining at a high level and next at a low level as well. So there's complete process we are going to execute it. And there is something like optimize and monitor. Optimizing is how best we can provide the customer interaction. Okay, so optimizing is how best we can provide the customer interaction. So you can have a proper UI given in such a way we can have a more interaction driven UI. Okay, so something like we have a different set of optimization. So it is something like efficient performance. Okay, so faster way of doing the application. Okay, so and similarly monitoring, like how many offers are released in this month and how many offers still are kept in hold. So still we are in progress with how many offers. Okay, so that is something like we can have a dashboard in the Pega, so where we can monitor the things. Okay, so monitoring kind of aspect. So all these are the at a high level. So we are going inside in deep about each and every phase how we are going to achieve by using the Pega tool. All right, so I hope you are clear so far. Any questions? All right. So now let's go quickly onto this Pega. Why Pega? So to build the applications quickly. So Pega is providing lot of capabilities like ready to use templates. So that so as you see, we if you are having certain templates given, so it is easy for you to have creating the UI. Okay, something like you see in my PPT itself, so you may see certain design templates are already available. Okay, so you can see here there are the certain layouts. So if I want to use this kind of templates, so automatically if I select it, so you will see that is easy for us to how to design it. Okay, so that kind of capabilities are provided in Pega. So it's a kind of a drag and drop components provided. Along with it, you have a selection option so that it eases our job of quickly developing the UI user interfaces as well. Okay, so user interface is nothing but whatever we interact in the application. So as a portal, if you log in into the portal, so whatever you see, that is something we call it as a user interface. Okay, to interact the user with the application, so that is something we call it as a user interface. All right, so to build the applications quickly, to automate the business operations, as I already mentioned, we can automate by using certain robotics, or there are other frameworks applications as well, which we will go in deep as well. So we can automate it so that it reduces the job of manual intervention, so that instead of each and every user has to perform, so there is something like a backend operations that can be easily done. All right, so rich user experience and templates driven user interfaces. So the rich user experience is something like in the mobile itself, we can use the application. Okay, so something like we can straight away, as like you see the apps that we are having in the mobile. Okay, so we can easily use certain app, we can create certain app and we can utilize it. So how the UI that you see in the app, so that way we can develop the Pega applications and we can use those applications in our mobile application, in the mobile as well. Okay, so that user experience, so that is called as a user experience. So how best we can give the user interface so that it eases the job of interaction with them. Okay, so that is something rich user experience is provided. And end-to-end application development components, so right from building the applications from the scratch till we deploy the code into the next environment. Deployment is something like once we are done the application, so we are ready to give to the customers, so customers can use this application. Okay, so why we are developing the application? Definitely for the some client, okay, some customer. So in order to give this application to customer, so there are a lot of components that are provided, so which eases the job of right from building, okay, so till we deploy the code into the next subsequent production environment. So that is something like we have different phases, and each and every phase will cover, so each and every phase will cover the which sorry, one second.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so end-to-end application development components are provided to deliver in a quicker and faster way and compatible with web and mobile apps. So as I mentioned, this is a rich user experience which is provided. So it helps us to interact easily with the web applications, which we will be using in the laptops, okay, our mobile applications. Straight away, we can use the mobile apps to do our current operation. So let's say if there is a HR who wants to approve the offer letter, so they can even open the portal in the mobile and they can approve it. Okay, so that is something is can be easily driven for the nowadays for the users. Okay, and even it is supported for ipad as well. And while development itself, we can even see how the applications will look for the user. Okay, and now coming to the supported with all the underlying database models. So now the database is something like the storage purpose. So in general, any application, any IT web applications that you see, we will have the database as well. So database is nothing but the storage system. Okay, so it is an underlying database software which will be used by the Pega system. Okay, so Pega software will also have a database connected. So that database is, it could be we have a lot of databases like Postgres, Postgres, MySQL, Oracle. Okay, so there are different databases that are already available. So once you develop this application, it supports any database. So today you may use Postgres database. Tomorrow you may shift to MySQL or Oracle. So irrespective of you change the database, so you may change the storage system, but still you can utilize any data. You can still use the application as is. So no need of changing anything in your application. Okay, but whereas if you see any Java applications or a .NET applications, you need to update certain things based on the database that we are using it. Okay, so if you are using the SQL queries, so those things you need to be updated. But in Pega, we doesn't have any SQL queries, so this is no code, low code. Okay, so basically there is no SQL queries we need to write. Pega inbuilt will write down those SQL queries as per the database which is used. Okay, so it will have that capability to write down those SQL queries for us. Okay, instead of we writing those SQL queries, so internally Pega will write for us. All right, so it supports all the database models. All right, and coming to the cloud support. Yeah, cloud support and robotics. So as I mentioned, robotics is being used, which is also given as a separate component that we can embed it so that it reduces the manual jobs. Okay, so and also the cloud support. So Pega supports for cloud as well. Now, cloud, what is a cloud is? Cloud is basically an infrastructure. Okay, so today we are hosting our application in one particular region. Like today it may be in our India, the users are there in India itself. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going to host our application. The server will be there in our India itself. Okay, something like a CPU. Server is nothing but a CPU. Okay, so if you are having a host application hosted in one particular region, so that is something like we are saying on premise. Okay, on premise is nothing but we are hosting on a specific area, and that server which is hosted, it is your private, it is your private space, you are taking it. Okay, so you are owned for that. Okay, so something like we are owning completely on the infrastructure. The infrastructure is the server where the application is deployed. Okay, so that is called as an on-premise. But whereas cloud is nothing but we are taking for lease the some other system. Okay, so something like I want to take certain lease for your servers. Okay, so I will just pay the rent for whatever I am using it, so I won't be consuming the whole. I doesn't have, I'm not proprietary for it. Okay, I'm not completely authorized for it. I'm not buying that product, I'm just using for some time being, and I will return after my usage is done. Okay, so that is something like cloud support. So cloud is basically you can host your application anywhere in the world. Okay, so you may host the application in China, Japan, wherever you want to. You just take the rent, you just pay the rent for how much you are utilizing the server resources. Okay, so how much you are utilizing the database, how much you are utilizing the server. Okay, so that network, how much you are using it, you will pay only that. So that is something we called as a cloud. So Pega supports cloud as well. Okay, so Pega supports the cloud right after Pega 8 version onwards. Okay, so if it is prior to Pega 8, Pega 7, it is not supported. All right, so Pega 8 onwards we are having a cloud support. So currently we are running Pega 8.7. So Pega 8.7 is the latest version. All right, and so every year you will see a new version coming in. Sometimes in the middle itself you may see a new version coming in. Okay, so right now 8.7 is running in the market. All right, and I'm going to explain all the concepts in 8.6. We are going a one version behind, that is 8.6. The reason is the support and standardization. Okay, so still the market which has to be taken into consideration. So whatever they are going to take that components which are newly added, so that is not standardized. So once they are having utilized it, so then we will take that 8.7 version. Okay, but there is no difference. Whatever the differences that comes in new, so those I will be explaining it. All right, and the last but not least, the no coding experience required for learning Pega. So definitely this is completely a new tool. So as if like no code, low code. This is a tagline given by Pega. So that is without having any coding experience and without writing any code, we can develop the applications. So there is no coding experience required. So understand the prerequisite to learn Pega is the basic terminology of what is database, which is a storage system, what is server. Okay, where we are hosting the application, which is something like we are deploying the applications in a server. Okay, so that is a in general any web applications, any IT web applications will consider those factors. Okay, let's go to this architecture. Okay, so architecture I will explain you later. So here in Pega, we need to understand certain terminologies. So to understand the Pega software, we need to have understand certain terminologies here. So here the studio. So studio, what is meant by studio? Studio is a place to have a set of configurations done. Okay, so in general, whatever different sort of configurations that we do is a configuration options that are provided, and we need to use those options to do our activities. Okay, so you have different type of studios available. Okay, app studio is one, dev studio, admin studio, prediction studio. Okay, so App Studio is basically for the initial phase when the business stakeholders or the UI UX developers. So initially, before you are starting the application, so it is for ease of understanding that to make the things very quicker, we will use this App Studio. So in general, this is being used by the business stakeholders. Okay, so business people, they will use it to design their workflows, to design their businesses. Okay, so it is easy to understand so what all the things that you do as part of your business to achieve. So that is something we call it as a app studio. Okay, so this is introduced in 8th version, App Studio. Okay, prior to that, this name was Express Studio. Okay, App Studio is the name which is renamed from Express Studio, which was there in Pega 7.x version. Okay, and next one is Dev Studio, which earlier used to call it as a Designer Studio. Okay, so in Pega 7, we use it to call it as a Designer Studio, and in Pega 8, the name is converted to Dev Studio. Okay, so this is something we will use it. So as a system architects, as a developers, we are going to use this Dev Studio to do our development activities. So all our development activities will be done in this Dev Studio, and all the administration related activities we will do by using this Admin Studio. Okay, so this is the terminology that we are using it. Okay, so Prediction Studio you can ignore for now. Prediction Studio is for decisioning, which is the analytics studio. Okay, so this you can ignore it, but most likely these three we are going to see: App Studio, Dev Studio, Admin Studio. All right, so I will show you in the tool. So after this slide, so let's go to this certification. So initially, what are certifications that are available in Pega is Pega Certified System Architect. This is first level of certification for the beginners. Okay, and for the intermediary level, Pega Certified Senior System Architect. So this is the next level. After we complete this first level of certification, we will go for the next level of certification. And after this, the top level certification in Pega, which is Pega Certified Lead System Architect. So this is the top level certification in Pega. All right. So we have these three certifications available. And now let's go to the software installation. So basically, in order to install the software, so we do have Pega 7 and Pega 8 versions. So the way of doing the software installation is simple. So we just need to download the software. All right. So I will show you the steps here. So I will share you one of the zip file which you need to extract the zip file. Okay. So once you extract the personal edition file in a folder, so you will see the folder in this way. So you can see here prpc underscore p 8.6. So this is the zip file that after extraction you will see this way. Okay. So after you click on right click and unzip it, so you will see this folder structure, and here you will see this install.batch file. So we just need to double click this install.batch file. All right. So once you click on it, so you will see this window, which you'll see here. So this is a select destination and extract the files. Okay. So after you extract it, yeah. So after you extract it, go to the Windows firewall and set it off until the installation is done. Sometimes it is blocking. Okay. So basically, sometimes the firewall is blocking certain things. So better to off the firewall. Okay. So ensure like your Windows firewall is off whenever we are starting this installation. Okay. So sometimes it blocks. Okay, and after extraction click on this install.bat file. So you just need to double click on it. Okay, or else you can right click and run as administrator. So this install.batch file we need to click on it, and you will see this pop-up window will come in. Okay, so where you just need to click on next. Okay, so you will see this window and you just need to click on next, and so you just need to click on next. Okay, accept the license agreement, and just go with the default checkboxes. So all the checkboxes will be selected. So just go with the same thing. Click on next. Okay. So you just need to select where you need to install your software. So just select the C default drive, or wherever you are, you have enough space, at least 5 GB of space you should be available. Okay. So in that drive where you are installing, so it should have at least 5 plus GB of free space. Okay, so there's just go with that directory and ensure you doesn't have a pre software installed. So Pega software which is not installed in that drive. Okay, so because it will create a folder structure, so that will contradict. Okay, so that is the reason. Ensure you have deleted that folder before you are installing this one. All right, so let's go to this drive, C drive, if it is coming as a default and you have enough space in it. and this is the directory where you just need to click on next. And here it will ask for the port numbers. So database port number which is used is 5432, and internally it uses the Postgres database. So this Pega personal edition is for practice purpose. So this is using the Postgres. Okay, so this automatically comes with this software. So it will automatically install a small database for us, which is port with on the port number 5432, which is a allocated port for database Postgres. Okay, so similarly for Oracle, you may have a different port number. Okay, so this it doesn't change anything. You can go with the default port numbers which are available. Okay, and you can just click on port availability to check, ensure like your ports are free or not. Okay, so before clicking on next, just click on port availability so that it says available. Okay, so that means the ports are not consumed by anyone. Okay, so click on next and you will click on start after that. Okay, so once you click on start, it may take some time, around 40 to 45 minutes as well sometimes. It depends on your server configurations. Okay, so once after completion you will see this message, rule based load complete and build successful. Okay, so immediately after that it will automatically you can see there is a folder called PRPC personal edition where you have installed. So I have selected C drive. So in the C drive you will see there is a folder called PRPC personal edition. So this is a folder where you can see all the necessary softwares are loaded. So it is using Java internally. Okay, so Pega is running on Java runtime environment, Postgres SQL database, so as I said, and Tomcat is the server. Okay, so these are the three things which are required, and scripts folder is responsible to start your database as well as your server. Okay, so there is a, in the scripts folder you will see there is something called as startup batch file, shutdown.batch file. Okay, so these two batch files are responsible to start your server as well as database. So you have to run you need to click on startup.batch file so that it automatically starts your database as well as your server. Okay, so both of these two will start it. Okay, so you go back to the folder. Okay, so here you can see open the scripts folder, and in the scripts folder you will see the startup.batch file and shutdown.batch file. So in order to, for the first time when you are installing, automatically you will see this window will come in. Okay, so this command prompt window will come and it will automatically start your server. Okay, so once your server is started, okay, so it will take some around it also depends on the server which you are using. So if it is i5 processor and more than that, go for 8.6. If it is i3, better to go for 7.3 or 7.4 version. Okay, because that is kind of slow. You will see in i3 processor it is very slow. Okay, if you are using 8.6 in i3, it may take a lot of time for us to load. Okay, so if you are having i5 processor, the laptop if you are using, then in that case you can go for 8.6. Okay, so once after you complete, you just need to click on shutdown.batch file. Okay, so just double click on it so that it shut down the server. All right, so whenever you are coming for the next time, you just need to come to this folder PRPC personal edition, go to the scripts folder and click on startup.batch file. So it will again start your server. All right, so even you can leave it as it is. Once you started, just doesn't want to restart again. Okay, so you can run whenever you are free. Okay, so that way you can see this started. Once you have started, you will see this. Okay, so once it is started, you can see this will start, like you will see there is something like a Postgres started, and this message you will see at the end. Okay, so once after it started, so you just need to open any browser and give this URL http colon double slash localhost. So since you are using this is configured in your local machine, so we just need to give localhost colon 8080, which is the default port for the Tomcat. Okay, and Tomcat server is the one which is coming with this. So port number 8080 slash pr web. So this is the URL that you need to give on your browser. Okay, so once after start of the server, you will see this URL will have the login window where you need to log in for the first time with administrator at pega.com is the username and password is install. I already logged in here, so let's log off. So you can see this is the window. Before that, I will log in again. Password is install. I will share you that document for the installation and the software for the installation. We just unzip it. So if in case you are using 7.4, the steps are same. We just need to click on next. Okay, and the you just need to copy that localhost colon 8080 slash prweb and give that administrator@pega.com and password is install. Okay, so whenever you are logging into this Pega software, we just need to provide a user ID. So that is something we call it as operator. Okay, so in general, the terminology that we use is for the user who log in with the credentials. So that user who logged in, so that name is called as an operator. Okay, and this is the window that you see, which is the dev studio. So initially you see this is the dev studio, and on click of it you can see the other studios are available. So you see app studio, admin studio, prediction studio. Okay, so we are going to consume these three: dev studio, app studio, and admin studio. Okay, so Dev Studio is the one which is also called as a Designer Studio. So if you are in Pega 7 version, you will see the name as Designer Studio instead of Dev Studio. Okay, so both are same. Whereas App Studio is a Express Studio. Okay, so in Pega 8 it is App Studio. All right, so you can see that in a separate way. So you can, if you click on App Studio, this is another studio which is doesn't have all the capabilities of as a developer. Okay, but as a business analyst, it's a quicker way of doing the things. So it has a limited capabilities which will be provided with the limited options over here. Okay, but we need to go through the dev studio as per the development as a system architect. Okay, so as a developers, we just need to go to the dev studio and do our configurations in it. Okay, I will all right. So here in this App Studio, so you can easily develop an applications. So by using certain options that are provided here on the left hand side. So these are called as explorers. So that you see on the left hand side: overview, case type, data, channels, users, settings. So this is left hand side you that you see. This is called as the explorers. Okay, and on the header you see there are certain preview options. Okay, and the bottom you see there is a debugging tools are available. So these are the debugging tools. Okay, and this is the explorers, and at the bottom you will see the log off option. Okay, so you see there is a log off option is available at the bottom. So the person who logged in, so that starting letter is considered and displayed over here. So as of now we logged in as administrator at pega.com, so the starting letter is shown over here. Okay, and you can see the version. Okay, so let's go to the dev studio, so where we just need to understand those terminologies. All right, so in the dev studio, initially you will see the which version of Pega that we are using. You can just click on at the bottom right side, so you can see our Pega logo. You just click on this, so you will see which version of Pega that we are using. So Pega 8 onwards it is called as Pega Infinity. The name given for Pega 8 is Pega Infinity. All right, and there are certain debugging tools that are available over here, and the left hand side that you see, this is called as explorers. So we can say recent explorer, case type explorer, data types explorer, app explorer, records explorer, and favorites. So I will tell you about what each and every explorer will do for us. Okay, but here the name of the application that you will see on the top. So here that you see there is an application Pega Platform. So by default we are getting this Pega software, the all the capabilities of Pega that are provided by this application called Pega Platform. Okay, so always whenever we start creating the applications, we always start creating on top of this Pega platform itself. Okay, so we will consume this Pega platform to build our applications. So how do we create it? We'll see. Okay, but the application name that you will see after you log in over here. Okay, so once you create your own application and you log in with your own operator. Okay, so operator in the sense the user which you are giving at the start while you are logging off and logging in. So that application which you are authorized to update, so that application name you will see over here. Okay, and launch portal is something like whatever you develop in this to verify as an end customer, so you will use this portals. So portal is the name given for the whatever we do the business activities. So those business activities are called as a portal. Okay, so those business activities we will do in the portal. Okay, so we will have a separate portal where we are going to utilize this portal to do our business transactions. Okay, so in order to reach our business workflow done, so that processes you will see over here. So that process of customers informations you will interact via this portal. Okay, so whatever the options that you have here we will discuss. Okay, so this is a portal, and in order to create certain things, you will use this option. There is a create option. So this is, so these are some of the categories of rules that we are going to create. Okay, so basically what is a rule? So Pega is going to have all the things developed via rule type. Okay, so everything that we do in Pega is a rule. Okay, so every technology, every programming language may have its own text file or its own way of writing the code. Okay, but in Pega everything we will write via a rule itself. Okay, so whatever we create, it is a rule itself. So whatever I open, it is a rule itself. Okay, so no need of telling every time like this is a rule, this is a rule. Everything is a rule itself. So Pega, including the operator whom I'm logging in. So initially I'm logging with certain operator. Okay, so that is also inbuilt configured as a rule itself. Okay, so every rule belongs to a rule category. Okay, so that is something that you see over here. So these are the rule categories. So, and you see this is a rule. Okay, so everything that we create, it is a rule. All right, and this belongs to a rule category. So your rule category is at a high level, and inside each rule category you may have rules available. Okay, so there are different type of rules, create rule forms are available. So each and every rule form may have a certain different type of inputs. Okay, so for example, I will open the operator rule for you. So you can just click on this operator. Okay, so just click on this menu and click on operator here. Okay, so here, so this is one of the rule form to log into the system. So in order to log into the system, we are using this operator ID, which is administrator@pega.com. Okay, so this is a rule form to, in order to log in. So this is mandatory, so this operator ID should be there. Okay, so this rule should be available to log into the system. Okay, so similarly we have a different kind of operator, or sorry, different type of rule forms available which has its own behavior. So we have to study all these rule types to design the application, to develop the application. We need to know about these rule forms. Okay, so that is something we are going to cover as part of Pega CSA and CSSA course. All right, so everything that we open here, so it opens in the new tab in this space. Okay, so the space, this is called as a workspace. So in this workspace, whatever the things that we create or we open it, so we will see them over here. So we just need to update accordingly. So in order to log in, what is the mandatory thing? So how the application access is provided. Okay, so for that you need a access group. This is another rule. So wherever you see the double circle here, so this is another rule type which is required to this rule. Okay, in order to configure this rule, okay, we may require some other rule which is given as an input for it. Okay, so this is an input to create this rule. Okay, so some are mandatory inputs, some are optional inputs. Like you see, first name last name is optional. Okay, So administrator is the mandatory thing. So wherever you see asterisk, so this is mandatory. All right. So in this way, every rule form will have a different tabs. Okay. So as of now, you see operator ID has profile, work, security, history. Okay. So every rule will have different tabs. Okay. So this tabs may not be available for other rule type. Okay. If I open this access group rule, so it may have a different tabs and different options are available. Okay, so based on the usage of that rule, we just need to understand what that rule is going to do for us. Okay, and how to use that rule. So these are the two things that we need to know for every rule that we are using it. Okay, so this rule, the operator rule, is used for logging purpose. But in order to log into the system, what is mandatory for this operator ID to be created, operator rule to be created? So you need to configure those input parameters in it. Okay, so here you see there is something called as access group rule which is required for it. Okay, so this access group rule is responsible to provide you the application access. So I'm logging into the Pega platform. So how I can see this Pega platform application? Via access group rule name. Okay, so via access group rule, I could able to access the application Pega rules. Similarly, I may have a recruiter application, okay, or else I may have the licensing application, or I may have some healthcare application, banking application. So what happens? You may create another access group to access that particular application. Okay, so you see I'm not giving the application name here. I'm just giving the access group. And if I open the access group, you see there is an application name and a version specified. Okay, we'll discuss about the significance of the version and all, but I could able to access this application via access group rule name. Okay, so you see this is the header of the rule form. Okay, and whatever the changes that you do, after you do the changes here, you need to save it. Okay, and if in case you want to delete this particular rule, you will use this delete option. Okay, and there are multiple other options that you see under the actions. Okay, so what this rule will do, so that options are given for you in it. Okay, and wherever you see there is a mandatory, so we need to provide that input, and wherever you see the double circle, so that means there is another rule which is required for it. Okay, so in order to configure this rule, you may need to create this particular rule again. Okay, similarly you see there is a portals, so you need to create these rules again. Okay, so portal is again another rule. Okay, so everything is a rule. Okay, so Pega is completely a rule driven. Okay, so whatever the development that we do, it is in the rule form level. So we'll discuss about this operators access group in next session. So today your assignment is to to install the software first of all. Okay, so make sure the server is up and running. Okay, so that we start creating a new application after we discuss the terminologies. So first we need to be familiar with certain terminologies. Okay, so development doesn't take a lot of time, so we can quickly create the application, we can quickly create the case tab. We just need to understand the terminologies and how to utilize each and every rule type. Okay, so development doesn't take much time. We just need to understand the behavior of the rule types and how to embed that rule utilized in our application. So that is more important. All right, so we'll discuss about these terminologies in next tomorrow's session. So today I will share you the software and the steps for installation as well. So install the software. If you have any questions, just ping me. Okay, I can help you in installing the software. All right.
Hi Ravi, Hari here. So I have
Yeah, Hari.
installed 8.6, but still I'm facing that login issue. That requested URL web PR servlet was not found.
So give it till prweb localhost colon 8080 slash
Mm-hmm.
prweb. Okay. So
Okay.
till this you give it. At least you are getting the window where we are logging in.
No,
Uh,
I'm
uh,
not getting. I'm just getting error screen, like white screen.
Okay. So in general, if the server is not running also, you will see that white screen. Okay. So
Yeah,
this,
first I launched this window and it got
uh,
successful. Then I just logged in.
okay, do one thing. So you have a run option. Okay. So click on this run. You just see, click on
Okay.
percentage temp percentage. Okay. And click on OK. So you will see certain files here. So delete all these files. Okay. So this is
Yeah, I
one more
already
thing.
did that, but few not able to delete. Few folders not able to delete in
Okay,
temps.
that is fine. Why? Because some files which is open, so it won't delete it. So delete those things. And one more thing, you clear the cache if you have already installed one of the personal edition already. So
Mm-hmm.
better you clear this temp folder as well. So this, all these files that are there, you just delete it. Okay, so stop the server, delete all these files, and again you restart it. So restart, either you can use via the scripts folder, startup.batch file, or you will see there is some options like startup, shutdown, and login. So we can
Mm-hmm.
utilize the startup logo as well. So if you are, while installing software itself, you will see the shortcuts are available. So if you select that option of creating the shortcuts, so it will come on your desktop. So you just need to double click on the startup. So this way also you
Yeah,
can
this
utilize it.
three I can see in my desktop, Ravi.
Okay, so just we'll do one thing, clear the temp
Mm.
folder. Okay,
Okay.
and as I mentioned, click on run, and click give this temp and delete all these files, restart it, and then try to start your server once. Take some time, because it sometimes it may take some more time initially. Okay, why?
Mhm.
Because it will compile all the files. Okay, so initially the Pega software will compile all the necessary files to up the server. So it may take some around 40 minutes also. Just wait for some time. Okay,
Okay, Ravi.
especially 8.6. Okay, 8.6 having more large amount of files, and the UI is also a very high end user experience given templates. So that is the reason it is getting slow. So if in case you can install 7.3 also, the options will be same whatever you see on 8.6. So those options will be appearing for Pega 8.7.x also. So you can even utilize that also. But if you are using i3 processor laptop. Okay.
Okay, okay, Ravi. I will try all those steps, and if I have any doubts, I can reach you, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so I'll share the software to everyone, so you can share, you can install it. Okay, if you have any questions while installation, you can ping me. You have my WhatsApp number. Okay, so just ping me over there. I can help you in installation. Okay.
Okay, Ravi.